Alright guys, here we are with another Theros draft, and we got a 6/6 for 5, that's pretty good, versus a couple other things. The Mender's amazing, the War Caller's amazing, but yeah, we're just going to take the best card here. And it's mythic, so I could even sell it for something maybe. Ugh. Okay, so following up, we don't have too much. I really like Battle-Wise Hoplite, like a lot, but it is not in our colors, and I do want to play the Cerberus. Yeah, jumping for a multicolor card that doesn't even fit with what we're trying to do might not be very smart. So I think I'm going to just take the Sip of Hemlock. It's a fine removal spell. You don't want to have too many of them, but like two Sips of Hemlocks is pretty powerful. It's a nice top end, and also being in black is just very powerful. I find that Read the Bones and Gray Merchant are two of the best commons in general. I think Read the Bones is one of the best, if not the best, so it's nice to be in there. Battle-Wise Hoplite, I really love the archetype of Heroic, but I'm not going to just jump right in like that. So Sip of Hemlock is a nice steady pick. Also, the Return Phalanx was also pretty sweet, but we don't have any blue. So speaking of the black, we got Gray Merchant, which is one of the best commons, period. And it's really what makes black competitive for us, because a lot of the removal is kind of inefficient in black, and it has some dirty creatures. But I think the reason why it has dirty creatures, like a bear that taps when a creature dies or whatever, the reason for that is because Read the Bones and Gray Merchants are just so strong. So I'm going to happily take that and hopefully start cutting black. It's pretty ambitious. We're passing by another Sip of Hemlock, and while those are good, I feel like getting the top end is fairly easy in Theros, especially with the Bestow creatures. So I don't want to be focusing too much on the high end, and I'm going to go for the Gray Merchant. And basically I want to pick up every single Gray Merchant I see, and every single Read the Bones I see. And there we go. Pharika's Cure is also very powerful, but if we're not heavy black, then it's kind of difficult to cast early. It does kill a bunch of things, but there are also a bunch of things it doesn't kill. Like it's very good at picking off the heroic creatures that pop in early and kind of need to be dealt with, or else they get explosive. And it's obviously very good against aggro and racing, but Read the Bones is insane, so I'm going to be taking that over the Cure. Hopefully I'll pick up other cures too. Of note, we're noticing that the best other card is probably Heliod's Emissary. We haven't been seeing too much red yet, but the Cerberus is a fine splash if we're going really deep into black, which I kind of like doing. So right now, I think we're pushing black over basically anything else. I don't know if we're going to be going into red necessarily, but we already have a nice start for it at least. I would say in black-red, I don't really know of too many good heroic creatures. There's a 2-drop that can make a creature unable to block for a turn, and in black itself, I can't really think of any. So I'm thinking between Felhide Minotaur or like the Coordinated Assault, which is a very strong heroic trigger, or maybe even Portent. But I think I'm just going to take the Minotaur and try to push a mono black shell with multiple Gray Merchants if possible. And here, well, the Flamespeaker Adept is very powerful. I don't think it's very strong in black-red. I mean, we do have Read the Bones to activate it, and we could potentially pick up Magma Jets, so I think that's a fine choice. I also am a fan of Return Centaur. If you have a lot of Gray Merchants, for example, what you can do is you can mill yourself, and if you put a Gray Merchant into your graveyard, and you have something called Rescue from the Underworld, you can return it with Rescue from the Underworld, sacrificing your Gray Merchant, draining 8. But yeah, that's a bit ambitious, so we're just going to take the Flamespeaker. I'm not sure if that was the right call, but yeah, that seemed fine enough. Here we're seeing a good trickle of white and green. Those are easily the best cards in this pack. God's Willing is very powerful, and I think it will take a bit of time for people to pick up on it. But overall, Dryad, Courser, and Elder are also very strong choices. I would personally go for probably the Dryad, and then the Courser and God's Willing, if I just was choosing in a vacuum. Obviously, it would depend on what color I would be in. But Boon of Erebos in a black deck is a fine combat trick. You're using it primarily for the regeneration effect. It's really good at blocking removal, and it can also trade up with other creatures. Here we don't have too much. I guess the Wanderer is fine, especially if we get like some ordeals later on, and it also continues to cut the color that we want to cut. On the other hand, we could also go for like Vanquish the Foul, which is fine, but I don't think it's enough to actually jump out of red. We haven't seen too much red, but we don't need that much red if we're trying to focus primarily on black. So I took the Asphodel Warrior Wanderer, and here I'm just going to take the Return Phalanx. I do like black blue specifically because Return Phalanx is such a strong 2-drop. But even without it, like if we have to run another black creature, he's a fine creature. Because black is definitely more controlling in this sense, I think. Over here we don't have too much. I think I'm just gonna take the Messenger Speed. Why not? Not that I'd run it. Okay, so Return Centaur has returned to us, and we'll take it here. We don't have any 4-drops to find blocker, and again, if we pick up more Gray Merchants, if we're lucky, then we're good with that. I like the Elder also, so it seems like white is fairly open, at least this round way around. But I don't know, doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Here, there's a couple mech cards. I guess I'll just take Snarecaster. Hopefully not run it. Borderline Minotaur is not also where we want to be specifically, but the Steed is fine. It's a late drop, but it fills our curve, and that's essentially what it needs to do. It's a bear that sometimes has a downside, but very, very rarely. And it aids to our devotion and aids to our curve. We want to make sure that we have a good amount of 2-drops. And well, lucky for us, we got a bomb, and it's specifically in the color that we want to be pushing. So, can't get much better than that. So discussing other cards, I mean, Abhorrent Overlord is obviously going to be just insane, especially in a mostly mono-black deck. Other cards that catch our interest would probably be Mogus's Marauder. That would be my second pick, considering we're heavy black. The Chimeras are both very powerful. I don't know what's going up with their artwork. One has a goat head, and one has like, I don't even know what that face is supposed to be. But yeah, they're kind of crazy. And otherwise, like if I wasn't in those colors, I'd probably be like looking at the Disciple or the Agent. There's not much else, but yeah, okay, we're getting the Overload. Really good stuff here. So what now? I mean, depending on what our secondary color wants to be, we could be taking Pharika's Mender, but I mean, it works very well for turn Centaur. You just mill yourself, and then you have more options to bring back with Pharika's Mender. But if we're going for that, then Underworld Cerberus is even better with Return Centaur, because there's just more stuff that we're going to be bringing back. I also do like Ordeal of Erebos. If you can do turn 1 Wander and then turn 2 Ordeal, that's pretty much game, I think, in most situations, because then you're ending up with like a 4/4 creature who can regenerate, and that's just a beating. So we're just going to take the Ordeal here. I do much like the Ordeals. And the Mender's fine, but I don't think we're going to be going into green just yet. Hopefully red will pan out in terms of the splash, but we're also just focusing primarily on black. And staying black is fine. Here we got removal, And we've got Return Centaur, which, as I said already, is quite good with our Underworld Cerberus. And Lash of the Whip isn't fantastic. It is removal, and that's kind of essential, even if it's fairly overcosted. I think my favorite card of the pack would probably be Griptide and Wavecrash Triton. I really like Griptide in this format just because it's such a strong tempo play when people are investing so much mana. Overcosted Bestow effect, big monstrous effects that you can just reset so quickly. But in our colors, I think I'm just gonna go with the Return Center just because it's so strong with the Cerberus. Yeah. Don't know if that was a correct play, but now I'm happy about it because, well, we got a Lash of the Whip and we got a Deathbellow Raider. I don't know how invested in red we're going to be, but if we have a fairly even split, then Deathbellow Raider is quite strong. We're not looking like a very aggressive deck so far, though, so it might not be that good, but it does fit the curve quite well. I think I'm going to pick them up a little bit later. I feel like Lash of the Whip is going to be harder for it to wheel. Not that I'm saying this one in particular will wield, but I feel like I'd get like 1 or 2 Raiders and that would be fine. Whereas Lash of the Whip, I don't think I'm going to have too many opportunities to pick up more of them. So I'm taking Lash of the Whip here. Right now, I just more Read the Bones, more Gray Merchants, and I'm in a happy spot. Here, now I kind of wish I was taking the Minotaurs because we got already a tribal dude here. I think I'm going to be taking him anyway, even though he's a little bit harder to cast. Now that I know Minotaurs are just around, I can take him. And there's a red-black Minotaur Lord that's also very strong. Ooh, very late Gray Merchant. Rescue from the Underworld is another card that I really want, but you don't really want multiples of them. That's kind of the combo with Return Centaur. So you use Return Centaur to mill yourself, hopefully putting a Gray Merchant down, and then you rescue from the Underworld, ideally sacrificing another Gray Merchant to bring back 2 Gray Merchants. Just by themselves, that's an 8 life drain effect, and if you have more black creatures, you just sort of win the game. But yeah, I need a critical supply of Gray Merchants first before I can go for Rescue of the Underworld. Not that I'm going to be picking up that one, but perhaps I'll be picking up one in the next pack, I suppose. We've got another Boon of Erebos, which is fine, but I want to be focusing on Devotion Black, so I'm just going to be taking Moby's Marauder. Also, the Ill-Tempered Cyclops is fine. You can make an argument that he is the better choice, and I would say it's fairly close in a vacuum. However, we are trying to push Mono Black, so Moby's Marauder it is. And in that regard, I don't know if we're going to be running the Rageblood Shaman or the Borderland Minotaur. Bloodsoul Harpy or another Minotaur. Well, we do have the Lord, so it does make Minotaurs better, and we could pick up the Black-Red Lord at some point. I think we should have seen it so far in this pack. Pack 2, I mean. So maybe somebody took it. But Bloodsoul Harpy is just not very interesting. I'm gonna take the Minotaur. It's harder on our mana, but it might be worth it. Who knows? And here we don't have much. Acheron Crusader is not something we're going to be wanting to run. I might just take Spark Jolt in case we want that as a sideboard or something to just trigger the Adept. And then we have another sideboard card with a stray artifact that's basically only good if we come up across a God weapons. Here we don't really have anything in our colors. We're just going to take the red so we can indicate that yes, indeed, we are trying to go black-red. Nothing here. Agent of Horizon is quite good, and I'm not going to be running the Rambler, and in fact I'd rather see people play the Rambler against me, so I'm just going to hating away. At this point we have like enough creatures or playables that we don't really have to take cards that we know we're not going to be running. So far we're already at 22, and we're just trying to pick up value at this point. Again, Read the Bones and Gray Merchants are top priorities. If we can make a tribal Minotaur work, then that's fine as well. But again, it's not high priority, as double red is pretty harsh. And some lag. And Anger of the Gods. Well, you can't really go wrong with Anger of the Gods. It's going to be fairly difficult for us to cast it, but I mean, whenever you have it in your opening hand, you can play accordingly. You can just hold back a couple creatures, and it's usually a 2-for-1. Disciple of Phoenix is also very powerful, and I usually take it. It's also fantastic with Gray Merchant. This is actually tough. It's a great 4-drop, definitely for mono black. Essentially just takes their best card from their hand, and with Theros being so slow, you're always going to be getting value out of it, but Anger of the Gods is so powerful, and I bet you it's also worth a couple of tickets too, so I'm just going to take it. And then here we have another Return Centaur, or like Rage of Perforos, or Flesh Mad Steed. I think I'm just going to take the Rage. It's a removal spell, it's Scry, so it triggers the Flame Speaker Adept. Yeah, has to be good. Farika's Cure, or an Ordeal of Perforos. We don't have any heroic triggers, so I'm not too worried about that. Ordeal of Perforos is just a good card, but I think Farika's Cure is actually something we want more, just because we're going to be heavier into black, I think. Yeah, I think we just want some more removal, and that's kind of on the cheap side too, so I really do like the Ordeals a whole bunch, but I don't think this is the best spot for it. Yeah, just gonna take the Farika's Cure. And, well, not a whole lot. There's still a good trickling of blue, but we're gonna pick up the Baleful Eidolon. We're playing a little bit slower than our opponents, so... Ooh, I really like Erebos' Emissary. It's just flat out wins games very quickly. Getting another Minotaur is sweet with the Rageblood Shaman, but in general the Emissary is just very, very powerful, and it also works towards the Devotion, so... I have a feeling I'm going to be cutting out some of the double red anyway. Ooh, that's a sweet pickup, and Disciple is very sweet. And I probably won't be running these double red Minotaurs as much. Here we got, well, another pickup with another Flesh Mad Steed. It's just helping the curve, honestly. That's all it's there for. And again, like, I'm not so much in red that I can start dropping double red cards, so the Rageblood Shaman and the Minotaurs are probably going to be gone. So yeah, that's fine, picking up another speed. But nice getting another Read the Bones, but yeah, not the worst if we don't have it. Cutthroat Maneuver or another Ordeal of Erebos. I think I like the Ordeal more. Cutthroat Maneuver is fantastic if you have Heroic, but again, black just doesn't have the Heroic. It's also a good tempo swing, but yeah, Ordeal is just more consistent, I believe. And I guess another Scourge Mark, why not? And another Return Centaur, okay. So as long as we don't mill our Underworld Cerberus, it's going to do some work. Here I think we're just going to be picking up Demolish as a sideboard card. You never know against an artifact dude. We're not going to be running that. We're just going to take the Benthic Diamond because it's the most annoying against us. So there we go. We got a pretty solid, mostly mono black deck. We have a lot of a lot of pretty strong inevitability, and I'll just take that. It would have been nicer to pick up another Read the Bones, but I think we're doing just fine. Okay, I think that's what we're going to be running. I really wanted to make... Oh, let me see this. I really wanted to make Anger of the Gods work here, but double red is just kind of difficult when we really don't need that much red in our deck. It would just cause consistency issues to try to get double red. That's why like the Minotaur tribal thing just never panned out. They're all double red, so we wanted red as our primary there, and it just didn't work out. And that kind of makes sense because Fanatic of Mogus is the red's primary devotion dude, and he's Minotaur and he's double red, or well, he is red, so you kind of see that Minotaurs has to be red focused as the primary tribe, whereas black kind of likes their just random dudes, I guess, zombies and berserkers and whatnot. But yeah, we have a pretty solid deck. Good. Asphodel Wanderer is our only 1-drop, but if we do have him on turn 1 and then we get an Ordeal out, it's kind of GG. We got a Minor Splash for Rage Porphyros and Underworld Cerberus. I can't see those two being poor decisions, and I guess if we wanted to be more consistent, we'd like throw in a Boon and a Scourge Mark, but I don't think that's great, really. Yeah, I think splashing for 2 red cards is fine. One of them being removal, and one of them just being a game ender. We got an explosive start potential, like a Goldfish of turn 1 into turn 2, but even like turn 2 creature into turn 3 Ordeal isn't bad, especially when we don't have many 3-drops. We have very little removal, only Read the Bones, but we have 1, 2 scry effects, so that's not the worst, I guess. And we do have finishers with Grey Merchant, and we have a fair amount of removal, and we have obviously our 2 bombs in the Overlord and the Cerberus. So I feel like we're doing pretty good there. In terms of mana, I'm probably going to go 4 mountains and 14 swamps. We want double black fairly soon, for at least just Farika's Cure. Everything else doesn't really need double black really quickly, but it's just more consistency thing. And our splash is nice and at the high end rather, so we don't have to worry about having it early. And that lets us play a little bit less mountains than if we had like 2 drops that we need to hit. Then we'd have to have like an even split or something. Yeah, this seems actually very powerful. I'm really digging mono black as a solid Theros archetype, and if I like picked up a rescue from the Underworld or something, it would be even better. But Underworld Cerberus might do a lot of work for us, so we'll see how that goes. And yeah, let's do it.